Supplier governance is no longer a nice to have, it's a necessity. As global markets shift, trade tensions rise, and supply chains face increasing risks, companies that don't prioritize supplier governance will face disruptions, cost overruns, and potential compliance failures. Yet many organizations focus so much on negotiating contracts that they neglect what happens afterward, leading to breakdowns in supplier relationships and costly failures. In this video, I'll show you the exact steps to build a supplier governance framework that works. We'll cover why governance is essential, common pitfalls facing companies, and the strategies you need to implement to protect your business. By the end, you'll understand why most supplier relationships fail due to governance issues and how you can fix them before they cost you millions. If you rely on suppliers, this information is critical for your business. Let's get started. Supplier governance doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's shaped by external economic conditions and trade policies. One of the biggest challenges Canadian businesses face today is the uncertainty of U.S. trade policies. Tariffs are imposed and removed unpredictably, impacting costs and making it difficult to rely on cross border suppliers. This unpredictability forces businesses to rethink their supply chain strategies. On top of that, supply chain disruptions from the pandemic aftershocks to geopolitical conflicts around the world continue to affect the availability and pricing of materials. Companies that don't have strong supplier governance frameworks struggle to navigate these tectonic shifts. And let's not forget inflation. Rising costs mean businesses can no longer afford to have reactive procurement strategies. Instead, they need to focus on securing long term supplier relationships with pricing stability and performance guarantees. Without strong governance, businesses risk overpaying, missing deadlines, and struggling with unreliable suppliers. That's why a well structured supplier governance framework is more important now than ever. Most businesses assume that once a contract is signed, the hard work is over. But in reality, that's just the beginning. One of the most common governance failures is the lack of oversight in contract implementation. Companies spend months negotiating the best possible terms but fail to put processes in place to ensure those terms are met. The result? Suppliers don't deliver as expected, and businesses are left scrambling to fix costly mistakes. Another major challenge is supplier transitions. When a company switches suppliers or begins a new contract, a clear onboarding process is absolutely critical. Without structured handovers and transition and setting expectations, businesses experience massive delays, disruptions, and missed contract deliverables, and potentially catastrophic failures. Finally, there's compliance. Without structured governance, suppliers may fail to meet contractual obligations, regulatory requirements, and quality standards. This doesn't just affect performance, it exposes businesses to legal risks and financial penalties. Strong governance eliminates these risks and ensures suppliers deliver on their promise. Governance isn't a nice to have, it is essential and a must have. One of the most overlooked aspects of supplier governance is the supplier debrief. Many companies assume that once a supplier is selected, the conversation ends there. But a well structured debrief not only strengthens relationships, it ensures better proposals in the future. Why does this matter? Suppliers who receive clear and constructive feedback will be more likely to bid competitively and meet your requirements next time. A debrief helps them understand what they did well and where they need to improve, whether it's on pricing, capabilities, or on experience. The key to a successful debrief is structure. Keep the conversation high level and objective. Avoid disclosing any competitor details or information. Don't let it get personal. A structured format prevents emotional reactions from unsuccessful bidders and ensures that the feedback that is provided is constructive. By making debriefs part of your supplier governance strategy, you create a competitive advantage. Over time, you'll build a pool of suppliers who truly understand your needs, leading to better proposals, stronger supplier performance, and more strategic supplier relationships. A supplier transition is a critical moment in any contract. It's not just about switching vendors. It's about ensuring that the new supplier fully understands expectations and can deliver without disruption. Without proper planning, businesses can face operational breakdowns, missed deadlines, and financial penalties. A structured transition plan should include clear milestones. This means defining responsibilities, ensuring both sides agree on the deliverables and who is responsible, setting up joint governance meetings with key stakeholders, and regular check ins prevent misalignment and allow any issues that arise to be addressed. Equally important is setting clear performance expectations. Suppliers must understand their reporting and compliance obligations from day one. A strong onboarding process ensures they don't just meet the contract terms, but can exceed expectations. A successful transition isn't rushed, it's carefully planned and executed. By implementing structured governance in your supplier transitions, you reduce risk, ensure accountability, and build a foundation for a high performing partnership. Don't forget, if you're enjoying this content, please hit the subscribe button to be notified of any future content that we release. Thanks. Not all suppliers need the same level of governance, however. For basic, highly commoditized products or services like office supplies or routine maintenance, a simple performance tracking system may be enough. But for critical suppliers like technology suppliers, logistics partners, or key manufacturers, a structured governance model is essential. A strong governance structure includes three key components. First, regular performance reviews. These could be monthly or quarterly meetings to assess KPIs, key performance indicators, delivery metrics, and compliance. Second, a clear escalation process that ensures that when issues do arise, they are addressed quickly before they become major disruptions. Third, a strategic and joint planning approach. By collaborating with key suppliers, businesses can drive and capture innovation, reduce costs, and improve service levels over time. The goal is to match the governance structure to the importance of the supplier and the solution. A one size fits all approach does not work. By tailoring your governance to the strategic value and risk of each supplier, businesses can maximize efficiency and minimize risk. Many businesses make the mistake of rushing supplier governance. They negotiate contracts quickly, onboard suppliers rapidly, and assume things will fall into place. But without structured governance, companies often find themselves dealing with compliance failures, performance issues, and financial losses. I can give you a real world example. A large telecommunications company rushed a $1 billion outsourcing deal, cutting down the implementation timeline from a year to just 6 months. Without governance oversight, a $20 million variance occurred and went unnoticed, requiring a year of corrective action, including my involvement, who negotiated the original contract, to be brought in and to straighten out. The number one cause of the failure was governance. Governance planning should begin during contract negotiations. This means setting expectations, defining KPIs, and setting up a regular review schedule before the contract is signed. Include the governance framework in your contract. A slow, methodical approach to governance may take extra time upfront, but it prevents long term damage. The cost of doing it right is far lower than the cost of fixing it later. Trust me, I know. Take the time to establish clear governance structure, roles and responsibilities, and a meeting cadence. It's an investment that will save your business millions of dollars. Before fully transitioning to a new supplier, always have a go, no go decision checkpoint. Think of it as a final quality control step to ensure everything is in place before the contract takes full effect and is implemented. The first question to ask: are governance meetings scheduled? Regular check ins should already be planned to monitor supplier performance, KPIs, and to be able to address potential issues and risk. Next, does the supplier fully understand their obligations? This includes SLAs, compliance requirements, and KPIs. Misunderstandings at this stage can cause major disruptions down the road. Finally, having transition plan mitigates risks that can potentially happen in the future. Have contingency plans been put in place? If the answer to any of these questions is no, the transition should be stopped or paused until all issues are resolved. A go, no go checkpoint prevents rushed implementations and ensures governance is structured for long term success. The future of supplier governance is changing rapidly. AI driven contract management tools are already helping businesses track supplier performance in real time. These systems use predictive analytics to flag potential risks before they escalate, allowing companies to be proactive instead of reactive. At the same time, ESG, environmental, social, and governance requirements are becoming a priority for governance and large enterprises. Businesses are expected to monitor ethical sourcing, sustainability, and regulatory compliance. Another major shift is the rise of nearshoring. More Canadian businesses are reducing reliance on US and overseas suppliers by sourcing locally. However, a supplier governance framework must be flexible enough to manage multi region relationships effectively. By staying ahead of these trends, businesses can create governance frameworks that are future proof and resilient. So let's recap. Supplier governance is not optional, it's the foundation of successful supplier relationships. The biggest reasons contracts and relationships fail is not bad negotiation, it's failure to implement governance after the contract is signed. Strong governance prevents cost overruns, compliance failures, mitigates risks, and prevents supply chain disruptions. If you need expert guidance or help in implementing supplier governance in your business, let's talk. Contact me at info@procurepro.ca, or for more information about ProcurePro, visit www.procurepro.ca. And again, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for weekly procurement insights. Let's build stronger, high performing supplier relationships together.